Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 52 units of real estate and I help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So there's been a concept that I learned about recently that kind of hit me hard and hit home for me. And the concept is speak less, listen more, and learn more, right? And it's kind of funny because when I grew up as a kid, I was the shyest kid ever. Like I thought I was too stupid to talk. I thought my opinion didn't matter. So because of that, I never talked. But I was very observant. So I would observe people's body language. I would listen to people's answers and try to learn from that, right? And after doing that for most of my life, to be honest, from when I was young to probably college, at that point, even like pharmacy school, like I'd say like from zero until like maybe 23 or 24 when I graduated pharmacy school. At that point, I realized that, wait a second, I'm not as stupid as I thought I was. I'm not, my opinion does matter. So I kind of went the complete opposite, right? Where I just started over talking, over sharing, and just talking over people. And what's bad about that is number one, it makes you a bad conversationalist because people just want to talk about themselves. So I felt like it was a good conversation, but the other person probably thought, when will this guy ever close his mouth and not stop talking? And for me, I just thought that, at 24 or 23, I went the other way. So I was like, oh, I'm actually smarter than I come off to be. I want to share knowledge that I've learned so that you can learn because I wish someone would share it to me. So I kind of went the other extreme where I was oversharing unsolicited advice, right? Financial advice, to be honest. Like, hey, you should buy real estate. You should do passive income. You should invest in index funds. All this stuff I was shouting at the roof. And, people may or may not appreciate it, but I would say 9 out of 10 times people didn't appreciate it because, money is a sour topic. Investing is a sour topic. And no matter how much income people make, and you would think pharmacists who make in California $160,000 on average would have the excess to invest, but a lot don't because they spend it on student loans, they spend on rent payment, they spend eating out, they go on nice vacations, right? So most pharmacists that I know are living paycheck to paycheck, right? Despite making 160K, believe it or not, right? They can't control their spending and all their money goes back to zero. But in any case, I would share because I thought that I was smarter than most people. And as I did that longer and longer, like I said, I probably did that from like 23 all the way up into, I would say like 30. So if I went on a good 7 year run where I just talked too much, overshared, and, obviously it burnt me a few times. And I just thought, well, whatever, if people don't want to hear, it's whatever. Like, I'm here to share. I just want to share my knowledge and my experience, and hopefully you can learn from that, right? So it came from a place of good intention, right? And fast forward today, YouTube's a perfect platform for sharing and for over talking, right? But once I hit 30, and this probably coincided with when I started dating Christine, she basically told me that, hey, like if you over talk, number one, people don't like talking to you because they want to talk about themselves. Number two is that, especially you're talking about financial related topics, it's a very sour topic. So once again, people might have a negative relationship with money and they may transmit that negative feeling onto you and associate you with that negative feeling. Number three is that you don't have the opportunity to learn if you're the one always talking. So, like, let's say I'm talking to somebody, right? Like, if I'm talking to somebody, either if I'm sharing about my wealth and my real estate, either they own less real estate than me, and then they think I'm cocky and think I'm arrogant, and they don't like me, right? So that's probably 90% of the time that's going to happen, right? But there might be that 10% where the person you're talking to who's super quiet, who's not asking questions, may own more real estate than you or may have a higher net worth than you. But because I was talking the whole time, I didn't have the opportunity to learn from them, right? So as a result of that, it kind of made me revert back to the middle where in the beginning I never shared because I was too shy, had low self-esteem. And I went to the other extreme where I overshared, was thought I knew everything, thought I was the smartest guy in the room. And now I'm at the point where I'm kind of in the middle ground where like I only uh, share if needed, and then but I'm really just asking questions to learn because I think I can learn something from anybody, right? And maybe in the off chance, in the 10% chance I find somebody who owns more real estate than me, then I can just ask more questions and really learn from them and get some knowledge. So if by me talking less, these are the two possible outcomes. Outcome one is I don't piss people off because they think I'm arrogant and cocky, right? If I overshare about real estate, they might think I'm showing off. They might think I'm cocky. They might think I'm arrogant. Or option two is if I'm oversharing with somebody who owns more real estate than me, then I missed out on the opportunity to learn. So now that those are my two situations, that's not a good situation for me. Either option A, option B. So now I just reframe from I'll just be the one listening and I'll be the one asking questions, right? So a lot of people, it was funny. Like I was in my like common area where I live, and some guy was just talking about like, oh, I'm a real estate investor, and I like to buy student rentals near this like university in California. And then he's like, yeah, I'm studying to be a realtor right now. And he was just like kind of posturing and trying to come off like he knew more than me, right? And probably 8 out of 10 people or 9 out of 10 people that he talked to, he would know more than them, and they would see him as impressive. Like, wow, that's really impressive. Like, you're trying to buy real estate, you're trying to invest, you're trying to build up your assets. But luck of the draw, he chose the one guy that owns like 52 units of real estate. And then I didn't disclose I own 52 units of real estate. I just started asking questions. I'm just like, oh, like, how'd you run the numbers on these rentals? And he looked kind of shocked to me, like, oh, like, no one's ever asked me that before, right? And then I kind of said that, oh, like, how are you splitting the deal with your partner? Like, how are you raising the capital, or where are you getting the capital from? So I just started asking these like high level questions, and I could see his eyes kind of open wide because he was probably just used to people like not really knowing how to respond. But I was just asking questions because like I just was legitimately interested to learn, right? Maybe I can learn about a new market where I can invest myself, right? And then quickly he kind of like changed the topic. So found out that maybe he got the hint that like maybe I knew a lot about real estate, or maybe I'm just good at asking questions, right? So in this case, like, once again, it was kind of posturing, and I just saw that. I'm like, oh my God, that was exactly me, like 5-6 years ago, where maybe there might have been that one person I came across that asked good questions. But for me, like, if someone starts asking me good questions, I kind of know that, oh, they know their stuff. So I'll dive in more and I'll start asking them questions like, oh, like, tell me about your real estate experience, right? So that's why I said you never want to underestimate those people who are just very quiet and humble, and they don't overshare because they're just listening and learning, right? Because I'd rather learn and improve myself versus like teach someone else at this point. And that's why I have YouTube, right? I do YouTube to share my journey. So hopefully you can learn, but also I want to improve my communication skills, and I want to kind of like run my thought process out loud so it gives me more clarity, right? So as a benefit to me and a benefit to you in terms of me sharing. So, it's really interesting. So like, speak less, listen more, and you'll learn more. So that concept really hit me hard. And, like you said, like I remember my fiance told me, like, every time I took a new job, I always kept on saying that, oh yeah, at my last job, I used to be a pharmacy director. I had this much years of experience. And then she was just like, you don't need to state that. Like, it's already in your resume. They already know about it. Like, just prove it through your actions. And I was just like, holy shit, you're right, right? Like, they'll know based on my actions if I experience or not, right? And they'll eventually find out because people will like stalk you and look you up. So they'll find out eventually. So you don't need to share it. Like, eventually they might ask you and be like, hey, how's it like being a director over here? And then you come in a more position of authority, to more position of power, right? It's just kind of like if I always have to shout out loud, it's like you're overcompensating, right? So like, ironically, as I've like built more wealth, gained more knowledge, and want to learn and better myself, I actually learned to speak less, right? Like, I've had it many times where like people pay for one-on-one coaching calls with me. It's $500 an hour, and they basically spend the whole hour just talking about themselves, and they never once asked me a question, and they lost the opportunity to learn because they're just so excited to talk, and they didn't learn anything from me. They didn't learn any strategies from me despite spending $500, right? But they felt good about the conversation. So, hopefully you take some nuggets from this, but the key concept is speak less, listen more, and learn more. And, I just showed you how I changed over my life. Like, from my first 5 to like 23, I never spoke. 23 to 30, I overspoke. And then 30 to present day, I keep it somewhere in the middle where, I'll speak when appropriate, but for the most part, I want to listen because I want to learn, right? So quite interesting um, journey that I've been on, but it's been kind of a superpower that I've had, is just being able to listen and ask very engaging, thoughtful questions, and then it creates for a good conversation that you can learn from and that they can learn from. So that's kind of been my focus as of late. Anyways, hopefully you found value from this video. Let me know what questions you have. Please like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to learn how to buy your first multifamily deal with some coaching, check out my link down below. You can send me an email to get a discount code if interested. Otherwise, hope you see you next one. Thank you so much.